SCP-3794. Imagine getting a head injury so bad that people start asking for tortilla chips. You'd assume those two things are unrelated, right? But unfortunately, they are deeply, unforgivably related, and the connecting piece is a sledgehammer. Because that's what SCP-3794 is. The catch is that if you swing it hard enough, it turns living flesh into pico de gallo. I'm not kidding. It becomes actual salsa. The Foundation tested it and confirmed the stuff tastes, smells, and is built exactly like the salsa you'd put on a taco. The change happens the second the hammer hits, only in a small area around the spot. And the salsa doesn't stick to you. It just slides out of the new hole in your body. The edges where it cuts get burned shut on their own, so you don't even bleed much. And here's the nasty bit. If the hammer knocks a chunk off you, that chunk stays alive for as long as the rest of you does. So, here's where the head injury comes in. Because for some reason, someone decided to test the hammer on someone's thick skull. And yes, it turned the entire brain and most of the skull into salsa. The subject, now basically headless with the contents of his head pooling on the floor, kept moving. Then he used the spilled salsa to write, "Help." And if you were curious about the taste test, someone tried eating the salsa. Apparently, that person died in under 30 minutes. So naturally, testing ended shortly after. Anyway, that's how a man ended up seasoning a chip with his own frontal lobe. I'm honestly ready to head out now. But not before I tell you about the man who got turned into a bug hotel. SCP-439. If you've ever looked at your bones and thought, this could double as real estate, SCP-439 would certainly agree. It's an insect that looks like an earwig, about 2.5 centimeters long. It's also harmless at first glance, but give it a sleeping human and about 5 minutes of unsupervised access, and next thing you know, your ribcage is hosting an open house. You see, those disgusting things climb into your mouth, crawl down your throat, and move into one of your lungs. Afterwards, the insect kickstarts a real-world bone disorder known as fiber dysplasia ossificans progressiva. But let's just call it bone apocalypse. 'Cause now, new bone grows so fast that spurs punch out through the flesh. And while that's happening, you're compelled to go hide somewhere dark and enclosed like a closet or whatever. Over 3 days, your skeleton reshapes itself into an absolute banger of a penthouse. Your spine, bedroom, your skull, espresso bar. Ribs, indoor climbing wall. And yes, you're still alive for all of it. 'Cause here's the thing. None of that is what kills you. What actually kills you is this. The queen lays 20 to 30,000 babies inside you. And once she's done, she packs up and leaves to find a new host. The workers she leaves behind have no food, so they starve. And you starve right along with them. So after all that, the thing that finally kills you isn't the bone spikes or the organ damage. It's a food shortage. Looks like the economy really does come for us all, huh? SCP-3001. Do you think someone could actually die from seeing red? Because that's exactly what happened to Dr. Robert Scranton. SCP-3001, also known as red reality, is an almost empty pocket dimension, where reality itself barely exists. The Foundation measures reality using units called Humes, and this place sits so close to zero that normal physics barely functions. Stuff rots there super slowly, and wounds that should kill you just don't. Their tests say you could lose 70% of your body and keep going, as long as about 40% of your brain is still good. Sounds like a cheat code for living forever, right? But unfortunately, it is not. Back in 2000, an experiment involving reality-bending technology went catastrophically wrong. A researcher named Dr. Robert Scranton was pulled through a broken wormhole and vanished into SCP-3001. Everyone assumed he died instantly. Unfortunately, he survived. Alone in complete darkness, with only a damaged control panel for company, Scranton spent nearly 6 years recording messages while trying to understand where he was. And eventually, he realized the real problem. You see, Scranton was far more real than the dimension around him. Over time, the gap tried to equalize that difference. His reality began leaking away into the void. His body slowly deteriorated, but death never arrived when it should have. Instead, he remained conscious, while pieces of himself literally became less real. He forgot things, lost memories, repeated his wife's name over and over just to hold on to it. And when even her photograph began fading away, So did much of what was left of him. Then, one day, after 5 years, 11 months, and 21 days, the control panel suddenly reappeared in our reality, covered in blood, teeth, hair, and fragments of Dr. Scranton. Whether Scranton is finally gone or still awake in there, with barely any body left, is officially a mystery. Just like it's a mystery how you're still not subscribed. Just saying. SCP-2718. You know how people always say, at least he died peacefully? Yeah, about that. Because according to SCP-2718, death isn't the end of your problems. It's the moment they become permanent. You see, SCP-2718 isn't a monster, a disease, or some random-ass object hidden in a containment cell. It's information. A classified Foundation document so dangerous that reading it is considered a containment breach all by itself. Why? Because it contains the testimony of a man who died, came back, and answered the one question humanity has been asking since the beginning. What's it like after death? Turns out it's not great. According to his account, when you die, your consciousness doesn't leave your body. It stays exactly where it is. You remain aware while your corpse lies in the coffin. You feel the blood settling, the skin drying out, the insects arriving. Every part of the decomposition process happens exactly as normal. The only difference is that you're still there for all of it. And he was being dead-ass because, he's dead. But here's where it gets worse. Because as your body breaks apart, your awareness spreads with it. One body becomes thousands of fragments. Thousands become millions. Every rotting piece of tissue, every splinter of bone, every microscopic scrap remains connected to the same consciousness. So, yeah, the pain basically multiplies. But the worst part? SCP-2718 doesn't describe a bizarre way one person died. It suggests this is simply what dying is. So it turns out the Foundation solved immortality ages ago. It's called dying, and the reviews are absolutely catastrophic. Anyway, sit with that one. SCP-426. There are many bad ways to die, but being electrocuted while attempting to become breakfast is certainly one of the more creative entries on the list. Because that's exactly how this toaster kills people. At first glance, SCP-426 is completely ordinary. It toasts bread. That's it. The problem starts when you try talking about it. Anyone who mentions the toaster immediately refers to it as themselves. Not the toaster, not it, just I. And the wild part is that nobody notices they're doing it either. Unfortunately, that's only the beginning. Because the longer you spend around the toaster, the more your brain starts accepting the obvious conclusion. If the toaster is I, then you must be the toaster. And once you believe you're a toaster, things get weird fast. The Foundation discovered SCP-426 after it was given to a family as a wedding gift. About 2 months later, 3 family members were dead. One woman attempted to shove her face into an electrical outlet because, in her mind, that's how she was supposed to receive power. Another ate nearly 10 kilograms of bread because she believed that was where toast came from. Her stomach eventually burst. And then you have the surviving husband, who spent an entire week sitting there waiting for bread to pop out of him. Anyway, later tests weren't much better. One D-class researcher spent 45 days with the toaster before wrapping his arm around it and declaring they were brothers, which is probably the closest anyone has ever come to achieving spiritual enlightenment through kitchen appliances. Unfortunately for him, the enlightenment came in the form of termination. So yeah, if you ever meet this SCP, I'm basically toast. Wait, I meant you are toast. What's happening? SCP-2030. Ever wonder if somebody can actually die from laughter? According to this TV show, the answer appears to be yes. You see, it's a hidden camera comedy called Laugh is Fun. It slips onto streaming services and disguises itself as another show you'll probably click on by mistake. Each episode follows ordinary people as they're dropped into bizarre, terrifying situations while hidden cameras record their reactions. Then the host appears. His name is Laffy McLaughlin, and nobody has ever seen his face. The moment he walks on screen, every victim calms down instantly. Doesn't matter if they've just been injured, traumatized, or watched something impossible happen. They relax. Some even claim they're fans of the show, which gets a lot creepier when the Foundation investigates who these people are. Because every single contestant was officially reported dead or missing the same year they appeared on the program. Naturally, investigators dug up the graves. And guess what? The bodies weren't there. And then they notice something even worse. At the end of every episode, the camera pulls back to reveal a live studio audience. The people laughing in the audience? They're the contestants from earlier in the episode. The same contestants who are supposedly dead. Nobody knows exactly what happens after filming. The only clue comes during the final sign-off. Laffy starts speaking. His sentences stop making sense, and the audience begins chanting with him. Laugh with us. Laugh with us. Laugh and let us in. Then the screen cuts to black. For 30 seconds, all you can hear is laughter, and underneath it, soft, wet noises. So yeah, how exactly did these people die? No clue. But my bet is they didn't get the last laugh. SCP-504. Ever tell a joke so bad the room wanted to throw tomatoes at you? I know I did. But hey, at least a bad joke can't kill you, right? Right? I guess I was wrong. You see, SCP-504 looks exactly like an ordinary tomato. Same genetics, same chemistry, same nutritional value. The only difference is that whenever it hears a terrible joke, it launches itself directly at whoever told it. And not exactly gently. The worse the joke, the faster the tomato goes. The Foundation discovered this after a woman reported that her husband had been murdered by his lunch, which, after investigation, turned out to be a completely accurate statement. Testing quickly revealed just how dangerous these things are. A mediocre archaeology pun sent a tomato flying at 124 miles per hour, breaking a man's nose. Another joke about a baby tomato got hit with a tomato traveling 264 miles per hour and was knocked unconscious. Then, someone delivered a truly horrific joke about bedbugs and skin. The tomato broke the sound barrier, causing the subject to die instantly. And it gets worse. During another experiment, researchers tested jokes based on a news story about a Lenin statue exploding. One subject joked, "That's gonna leave a marks." The tomato barely reacted. The second said, "BBC is just Stalin the good news," and immediately suffered a fractured jaw. Then the third guy simply looked at the headline and said, "That blows." Apparently, the file redacts the tomato's speed. And nope, the man's skull did not survive the review process. Anyway, I was going to make a tomato joke here, but I figured it'd probably be a little too fruitless. Get it? Wait, what's that so? No! SCP-666.5. J. Ever had food poisoning so bad you thought, honestly, death would be less embarrassing than this? Well, the Foundation tested that theory. You see, this SCP is a crab-stuffed mushroom appetizer served by the Foundation's own catering service during the 45th annual Site 19 formal. About 1,500 people attended. Roughly 42% ate it. And that, my friends, turned out to be a statistically significant mistake. At first, it seemed like ordinary food poisoning. Mild stomach pain, a little discomfort. Then every bathroom in the facility filled up. Then the hallways filled up. Then the Foundation started airlifting in additional medical staff, investigators, and plumbers. Yes, I said plumbers. Because this wasn't food poisoning anymore. It was an apocalypse occurring entirely inside the human digestive system. The file describes its effects as 5 separate K-class scenarios. Then comes what the file literally compares to Satan attacking your intestines with a pickaxe. And suddenly, blowing up the toilet gets a whole different meaning. Eventually, subjects experience what can only be described as a gastrointestinal extinction event. The volume expelled is so physically impossible that researchers suspect the victims temporarily develop extra-dimensional intestines. So, yeah, technically, this SCP won't kill you. But the embarrassment after surviving it? Absolutely mortifying. And there you have it. 8 of the most bizarre ways people died in the SCP Foundation. If you've learned anything today, it's that the Foundation should absolutely not be trusted with food.